When was the last time you sat in complete, absolute silence and actually felt safe? No music playing in the background. No podcast filling the empty space while you wash the dishes. No scrolling through your phone just to survive a 30-second elevator ride. For most of us, the absence of noise doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It feels alarming. We've conditioned our nervous systems to rely on a constant, unbroken stream of input just to regulate our emotions. The moment the room goes quiet, a subtle panic sets in. Your brain treats the lack of stimulation not as a moment of rest, but as a threat. The urge to reach for a screen becomes almost like a physical itch, a desperate reflex to avoid being left alone with your own mind. But what exactly are we running from? It's not just boredom. There is a profound psychological cost to this endless mental buffering, and the reason you can no longer tolerate your own thoughts might be the exact reason you feel so permanently exhausted. Level 1. At Level 1, the avoidance is so subtle it just looks like a normal habit. Try doing absolutely nothing. No background video, no music, no scrolling, just sit there. Most people cannot endure this for more than 2 or 3 minutes before an almost magnetic pull draws their hand to their phone. But if you pay close attention, it isn't actually boredom driving that movement. It's a microdose of anxiety. Your nervous system is deeply conditioned to constant, high-velocity input. When that stimulation abruptly stops, your brain doesn't interpret the silence as relaxation. It interprets it as an error state. The background noise of your own mind, unresolved stress, lingering tasks, a vague sense of guilt starts creeping up. Reaching for the screen isn't a conscious choice to look at something specific. It is an unconscious reflex to self-soothe. You are using the phone as a digital pacifier, seeking a quick hit of dopamine to suppress the quiet discomfort of being alone with your own thoughts. Level 2. We often look at our most frustrating loops, the endless scrolling, the chronic procrastination, the need to control every tiny detail and label them as bad habits. We tell ourselves we just lack discipline, but at this stage, you have to realize something fundamental. That's not a habit. It is a highly efficient, perfectly designed defense mechanism. Your brain isn't broken. It is trying to protect you. When your nervous system is simmering in unrecognized exhaustion or low-grade anxiety, it demands an escape valve. It needs a localized anesthetic, so it builds one. You think you're just easily distracted, but your attention is actually actively fleeing from the discomfort of being alone with your own thoughts. You think you're just a perfectionist, but you're actually building a fortress of over-preparation to keep the fear of inadequacy from getting in. At Level 2, the true danger isn't just that you are using these avoidance strategies. The danger is that they have become so automatic and so deeply embedded in your daily rhythm that you've started mistaking your defense mechanisms for your personality. Level 3. By Level 3, silence is no longer peaceful, it is terrifying. You start noticing it in the micro moments. The immediate grab for your phone the second you wake up. The podcast playing in the background while you cook. The YouTube video required just to fall asleep. At this stage, constant stimulation isn't about entertainment anymore. It has become a highly evolved defense mechanism. Your brain is a processing engine. As long as you feed it external data, a conversation, a video essay, a scrolling feed, its cognitive bandwidth is occupied. It is busy solving external puzzles. But silence is the only environment where your mental machinery suddenly has nothing to chew on. The external bandwidth drops to zero. Your nervous system, deprived of its steady drip of dopamine and distraction, experiences a sudden, uncomfortable vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. When the outside noise stops, your brain's default mode network kicks in, shifting to process internal data. It begins decoding the unresolved tension in your body, the quiet dissatisfaction with your routine, or the heavy questions about where your life is actually heading. You realize the noise you've been surrounding yourself with wasn't there to connect you to the world. It was a sonic wall built to keep something out. And the exact moment that wall drops, the voice you've spent months or years aggressively drowning out finally has the floor. Level 4. At this stage, the anesthetic of constant motion begins to wear off. For years, your nervous system has relied on a highly effective, socially rewarded survival strategy: busyness. Your psychological conditioning built a fortress of routines, obligations, and infinite distractions, specifically designed to keep your attention permanently locked outward. But at level 4, those walls crack. It usually happens in the quiet, liminal spaces of your day, sitting in the car for 10 minutes, after parking in the driveway, staring blankly at the shower tiles, or lying entirely still in the dark at 3 a.m. In these unprotected moments, your mind starts asking the exact questions your entire lifestyle was engineered to suppress. Is this actually my life? Am I genuinely happy? Or have I just built a daily schedule so relentlessly demanding that I don't have the mental bandwidth to notice I'm not? This isn't a fleeting moment of self-doubt. It is the total collapse of active avoidance. You are forced to confront the terrifying possibility that your productivity, your chronic stress, and your exhaustion were never signs of ambition. They were just a highly sophisticated way of running away from yourself. Level 5. By level 5, the true source of your exhaustion isn't your workload, your responsibilities, or your schedule. It is the immense, invisible energy required to constantly outrun your own quiet. You see this in the daily micro-habits: the immediate reflex to play a podcast while doing dishes, the inability to drive without audio, the desperate need to flood your brain with content the second your head hits the pillow. We label this multitasking or unwinding, but neurologically, it is a state of active avoidance. Your nervous system has learned to treat stillness as a threat. We tell ourselves we hate silence because it feels empty, boring, or understimulating. But the psychological reality is the exact opposite. You fear silence because it is overwhelmingly loud. When the external input stops, the brain's default mode network activates and all the distractions strip away. Suddenly, you are left alone with the internal friction you've been managing all day. Silence is the only environment where your cognitive dissonance becomes impossible to ignore. That sudden spike of unease you feel in an empty room isn't just random anxiety. It's the sound of the gap between your lived reality and your authentic needs. It is the only place where you can finally hear the terrifying difference between who you actually are and who you were programmed to be. Ending. We spend years trying to outthink our own nervous system. We stack habits, we optimize our routines, and we listen to podcasts about dopamine, hoping to finally hack our way out of the loop. But the ultimate test of your psychological freedom doesn't happen when you are being productive. It happens when you stop. Try it. Turn off the audio, put down the screen, and just sit in an empty room. At first, it won't feel like peace. It will feel like a physical threat. Your brain will scream for a distraction, throwing random anxieties, phantom guilt, or an overwhelming itching urge to just check something, anything, to escape the vacuum. This is the withdrawal. This is your survival brain panicking because the constant stream of external input is gone. But the quiet truth is this: you don't defeat this state by fighting it. And you certainly don't defeat it by downloading another app to track it. You defeat it by enduring it. The moment you can sit in that excruciatingly loud silence, feeling the absolute peak of the urge to escape, and consciously choose not to flinch, that is the exact second the old code starts to lose its grip. You stop running, and for the first time your nervous system realizes there was nothing chasing you at all.